We got a lot going on in this final part. As you can see here, I've acquired a plethora of new Wilson Combat parts. I got this front grip strap, mainspring, extractor, plunger tube spring, and this part here is an ejector from Klonimus off eBay. That part may or may not go in during this video. I haven't determined yet. The recoil spring is 18.5 pounds, which is standard for the 1911. Many of you have commented and given me good advice as what to look for of what's going on. I'm going to get these parts out of the box. I'm going to lay them out. I got my tools here, but this video will be in two parts: the build and the final test, which I'll be doing tomorrow at the range. Make sure everything's going as planned. As you can see, I got this extractor. Everything here is for the 70 series. Some pieces are cross compatible. I may have to tune this extractor, but we'll find out after it's in and we get to shooting tomorrow. But I'm excited to make this 1911 one of the favorites in my collection. I got everything that I'm going to be replacing out on the little tech mat I have here. So this piece right here is probably my only problem with the gun, the extractor. And I'm keeping this bag to put the old parts in. It's easy enough just to tune the old one and try and get it working, but ammo is not cheap. I took the liberty of just getting, these parts are like $5–10 a piece. This was like $18 for this little piece of sheet metal. Don't even really need that. I just thought it would be fun. Another thing I wanted to show. Since last time, I shaved down the front sight quite a bit to sort of match some of the other 1911s I've seen. I'm hoping that will reduce the drop when I'm shooting, because naturally the gun by itself, it seems to want to do one of these when I'm trying to aim with the old sight. Now it brought it up quite a bit. May or may not make a difference, but we'll see. I really cleaned the barrel out, really cleaned this thing pretty well. Alright, without further ado, let me get this thing apart. Alright, so let me get these things out of the way here, get these parts up and out of the way so I can have a clean workspace. One of the worst things is having a cluttered workspace. In between clips here, just looking at this, I see some rust starting underneath my slide stop here. So that's a little bit annoying. Good old paper towel, those are used quite a bit in this house. First things first, what I'm going to start with, it's not typical to the takedown procedure. However, I'm going to take off these grip panels because I'll be working on some of the internals and messing around with that front strap. They say to be very careful with these screws because the threads are very fine threads, easy to get cross-threaded. Just like with any other mechanical thing, if something feels like it's giving you resistance, you should probably take a second look at it. Make sure you're not forcing anything. Make sure you have a screwdriver that actually fits too. You don't want a tool that doesn't fit. I'm guilty of just being lazy and not wanting to take the time to find the right tool. But for this case, I got this Lennox electrician screwdriver. Seems to be pretty good. I'll go over some of the other tools I have here. I actually made a few of these tools in order to make life easier for me, like this little brass punch. It's amazingly difficult to find brass punches at the store for whatever reason. You can find them online. I'm sick of buying things online. I really don't like buying things online anymore. I like to go in person, and it's getting quite annoying that there's a lot of stuff you can't buy in person. So I pull the hammer down. They make a tool for this little process here, which I find unnecessary. If your finger's strong enough, you should be able to get this off without a problem. Alright, so we got our spring out, spring cap. That's not really a part you should really be too concerned about replacing. Here it is side by side. Seems like the new spring is a little longer. See if I can show that to the camera here. By about 2 coils, a little longer. Put that aside. Put the new tool, the new part in front of me, put the other one off to the right here so I don't get them mixed up. Next step, you bring back the slide and push out the slide stop. This is a new part that I put in. It's a GI part. Alright, that's off. Comes right off. This is the other part. In my previous video I referred to this. This is a spring follower. I don't know if this part is causing any issues. I don't think it should be, but I might go back to the old one. The old one just seemed worn, so I replaced it. I always keep forgetting that you have to take this out, put that aside, take the barrel out, blah blah blah. Here we go. Barrel, put that to the right. Now we got our slide. One thing that's interesting about this pistol is that whoever had it before me seemed to have had a scope on here. So what they've seemed to have done is filled in the holes on the scope mount. They did a pretty good job filling in the holes and polishing it, but underneath you can see in there there's a little hole where the screw would have been, and I'm debating whether or not I should try and fill that in with some solder of some sort. While I'm at this level, I'm going to use this modified screwdriver that I made. Now, unless you're very comfortable using metal on metal, you should always use brass. This screwdriver is just bent a little bit of an angle. So what has to happen is this backing plate has to come out. So you push that in, and that will come down. So let me get that going. Pushing the firing pin, and the plate should slide down like this. Now, you can get your finger in there, you can get a purchase, put your finger over it, and you want to capture that firing pin, otherwise it's going to go flying. Put that to the side. That's going to give me access to the extractor here. For the sake of it, I'm going to try to use this brass tool to push out this. I don't think it's strong enough, but yeah, that's not going to work. So again, back to my tool here. You can fit this up in that channel. It allows me to get that started. So it's starting to come out a little bit. It does help if you go in here. I've got these little pliers. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you feel comfortable that you're not going to scratch the gun. I feel okay with it because a lot of these tools are coated. What I'm actually going to do is I have a flathead here. I'm going to put this a little smaller, put that up under the extractor, and it should start to come out. There we go. So we got the extractor going, starting to come out. Can use this plier. So this is the old extractor. I don't know if you can see from that angle here, but compare it to the new one. I can kind of see right off the bat here, the new extractor is going to be need to be tapered forward a little bit. The new extractor is on top. Looking close, what I can tell, it seems as though on the old one I have a little bit of wear here right at the very top, where this one is flat across, and that could be either a design upgrade by Wilson Combat or just simple wear. Now this gun is, you know, almost 70, 80 years old, so this could be an original part, but for the sake of time here, put that to the side. There's really no way you can put this in wrong unless it's tilted wrong. The back of the slide has an angle to it, so does the extractor. So we drop that in there. I already have this lubricated from the previous extractor. You know, this gun hasn't been shot, it's pretty clean. Aside from that rust I mentioned earlier. Things like the bind up, going back to what I said earlier, you don't want to force anything. That's how things break. A little tension to start, but I'm able to push it in with my fingers, so it's better to do that than to start hammering on things, causing marring. Now this channel needs to, the extractor can go too far in or too far out, and you won't be able to get that firing pin stop back in. So we put her up like this, push that down. Well, I caught it. Put that down. It's a little tricky, but I can kind of see where the extractor's in too far. So I move that out a little bit. If you're in doubt, you can take the firing pin back out and dry fit this again. Let me take a pause here and then come back. Okay, so I had to take a little pause to the video. Diving back in here, let me take a sip. Diving back in where I left off, I indeed had this upside down. Where the firing pin stop kind of channels down, it might be the years of all the cleaning product, but my short-term memory is shot. Where it champers down so it can ride on the frame, that faces down. So you'll see wear on your gun goes here. The problem before was basically the new extractor, and that's another confusion here. This is the ejector. This one's a little different, so we're going to see what that's all about. Ejector, extractor. So the extractor goes in, grabs the back of the shell, pulls it out, and as the slide comes back, it grabs it and pulls it off the ejector. One of you commented this is letting go of the shell prematurely, and I believe you're absolutely right, and I appreciate that comment. Again, looking at this thing, I can tell it was worn out. It was time for this to go. I guarantee that was the problem, but alas, what we got going on here, this was not going in because the new extractor on this channel had a much tighter tolerance. So I got it started. So instead of it just sliding in with the old one, you have to tap this one in a little bit. So I got my piece of brass here. You know, anytime you can use something that's softer than the gun, do it. I just like to risk pissing myself off sometimes. So that's almost in all the way. And these are some brass pins I had for knife handles, which I hope to do my next video on a knife of some sort or survival. This series kind of dragged on, but I'm enjoying doing this project. So we got our firing pin in. It moves freely. It's under spring tension. So for all intensive purposes, this part of the gun is complete. It's complete, but we're going to see if it needs adjustment. So now we got our frame. This will be interesting, to say the least. I've cleaned this thing 1,000 times. You can see all this grime under here. I don't know what that's You know, this frame, for the most part, it's pretty clean. It's got the idiot scratch. I bought it that way. But again, you know, I did the repair here. Kind of want to see, you know, how this fits on there. I've lost some surface area because obviously I sanded this down and got rid of all the gouges here. And I'll take this moment to give a little advice. It's very easy to obsess with perfection, and it looks really good, but I got a couple spots. Waviness right here. Somebody in the comments suggested doing the Colt Combat undercut, which I may or may not do down the road. Right now I don't think I will, just because of the build itself. It's supposed to be somewhat of a budget build. You know, I got this thing for $350. I probably got about 450 into it right now. The undercut will be cool. So obsessing over the perfection of it, you know, you start to sand, oh, it looks good, oh, I'm getting this little gouge out. Well, then you start to get too deep into it. Don't stipple your guns. Don't stipple your Glocks. Biggest regret, I had a Glock 17 I stippled about 5-6 years ago when I started tinkering with these things. Calm down, just get the aftermarket stuff. You're going to ruin the gun, and now it's going to run me $400 for a new frame, which is the price of a new gun, basically. You can get a Ruger RXM at this point for $400. Glock Gen 4 is not a 17 Gen 4 is not a really sought after gun. So now I'm left with a piece of crap, and I'm going to put the whole grip over it. But next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the safety off so I can get this plunger spring out. The previous owner bent the spring. I'm doing all of this in real time. I'm going to edit the video for, you know, time purposes. You don't want to sit here and hear me ramble. I have a very monotone voice. So basically, you get this halfway in between, and you start to kind of move it a little bit. Hammer should be up because you don't want pressure on anything. You know, it might give you a little trouble. Now when I say these things like, oh, hammer should be up and whatever, you know, I could be wrong. This actually can't go up without the hammer back. It can't go into safety mode. So the hammer does have to be down. Pull it out, set it aside. Back safety comes out. Now I'll take this opportunity to put the hammer forward. The safety wants to come out. This pin's going to have to come off the back strap. I'm thinking of doing just like a regular flat back strap, but that's for later on. So for right now, you can do it by hand. I'll just go ahead and do it by hand. Get started, push it out from this side. Now this tube is a little loose. It's another thing on this gun. I got to get the tool to either replace that or chamfer it, or you know, re-tighten it. So you can see the old spring, it's all bent. Here's our new one. Definitely was time for an upgrade. So it goes in the same way it came out. You got a little step here. Be careful about doing this. You don't want to bend that spring. So now it's in. So one of the things to keep in mind, I'm going to be taking the gun down apart more. I'll see if it stays in. This was held in because it was bent. So let's get that out of the way. Next, we're going to take the brass pin. This has a little cup on this side. It has a pronounced end. So we flip it over on the pronounced end. Take our brass punch, hammer. It's a little stiff. There's a reoccurring theme here. Everything comes out on the same side. Alright, so that's out. So we got that out. Put that aside. Pull the hammer down, pull this out. So we got these pieces out. So next, I'm going to do the mainspring. This is a good time to take a pause, have some coffee, and I'll be back. Okay, so skipping forward a little bit. This video is starting to get a little bit long. Weird thing, I took out the mainspring backstrap here and the hammer, and I don't know how I didn't see this before, but it looks like I have two of the mainspring pins. I asked myself, where did this come from? How did I end up with two of them? And it looks like the guy was using one of these for the hammer. Now it just could be inexperience, but I don't think that there's two of these pins. Maybe at one point it got misplaced or whatever. I guess it works. The more worn one, I believe, goes in the bottom, and this one's for the hammer. So a little weird. It seems to fit, you know, same diameter. I got the mainspring. I'm gonna do that, but first I want to do. I decided to go ahead and do this ejector. So I take my little. I took this on the sander and made it into a point, and I have a 1903 pocket that I actually originally made this for, which may be in another video, I don't know. But I'm gonna get the pin out the rest of the way. Let me put this in a safe spot so it doesn't go flying, because I'm about to lose it. But let me get that out. So that piece of brass broke off in there. Nothing to panic about, because what we can do, just go back on this side, and I can hammer this out, and there's that little tip of the. So things like that will happen, you know. Don't freak out. The only problem I have now is that I don't have anything small enough to get in there. But I have a little bit of a purchase here. So what I'll try and do is grab it, see if I can get it out that way. And somehow it worked out in my favor. So that's the only pin holding that ejector in there. I've never taken one of these apart, so you're seeing me doing this for the first time. So that's in the frame. Let's see how this comes out. Let me take my first option here, this guy, the brass, try and work it up. And I've noticed what's a little bit weird is like the new extractor, it seems a little different. I got this little pronounced, I don't know what that's all about. So for time's sake, let me just work on this here. There we go. Try and do it by hand now. There we go. Alright, the old one's out. Frame has a lot of crud underneath there. Let's wipe that off. Never been replaced. But while we have it apart, you know, I don't really want to keep taking this thing apart, putting it back together. So let me put the new one in. I think we did a good enough job cleaning that out. Drop that in there. There's a little channel for the pin. Let me see about fitting that on there. Use our brass. Starting to go in. Make sure that, yeah, that's snug to the frame. While I'm at it, let me see if the slide goes on. We don't need any surprises later down the road. Yeah. I'm not sure if this old extractor, this little point here, made a difference, but it's out. Let's put the pin back in. Start it from the same side that it came out. Working on the 1903 pocket. Somebody had mentioned, unlike these pins, it doesn't have a wrong or right way to go in, so we just put it in. I prefer to put it in the same way it came out, but you can put it in either way. That's up to you. This is very important where I'm talking about not forcing anything, so I'm going to put this brass on here because the last thing I need is this pin to break. I'm going to put this pin on here and I'm going to tap it light. I can feel it start to go in. If I just wail on it, it may not go through that little channel on the other side, and it feels as though I am having a little bit of a hang up, but that's the new tight tolerance of everything. Make sure obviously it's not protruding into the channel. I'm going to take this smaller pin, I'm going to give it a little couple more light taps, make sure it's in all the way. Don't need any surprises. Let's move right on to the mainspring. But you got your sear and the sear disconnect. They sit right on top of each other. Other people have got videos on how to put this in. This video, as long as it is, I'm not going to try and do that. So take this. There's a groove here. Some other video I've watched explained it should just sit right on top, like so. Just sits on top. Now going forward, we may have a problem where the hammer doesn't want to go in. First thing I'm going to do is get this started. The back strap. Slide that in. Get that started. Good idea to take a look, make sure everything looks good here. I may have to back this out, but then I put this in, the safety grip safety here. Put that in. This is how I do it. It may be the wrong procedure, but so this comes down a little bit. We know that fits. Hammer. So the hammer, the spur rides inside the back strap. That's where your spring tension goes. Hammer is supposed to go all the way forward so that it sits on top properly and you can get your pin through. Alright, so that was annoying. Put that in. So it's looking to me like this back strap spring is going to need some adjustment because that's moving a lot. But I'm going to put this safety in. Well, first let me put this guy in. Okay. Put this guy in. Alright, so everything's in. Got our safety working. Nice little snap. Alright, so here's what we got going on. I got the new, all the parts are in. And now we got some wiggle on this, so that is not good. If I'm correct, let's see, without me depressing the back safety, yeah. So without the back safety depressed, I can make the gun go off. So I'm not going to film this part. I'm going to adjust the spring, come back to the video, and we'll assemble the gun. So as you can see here, this is the original mainspring, and I've got the new one in there, the Wilson Combat. Nothing is truly a drop-in part. So pretty much what it looks like, these two pieces in there, from what I looked at, these two little prongs here, they look okay. We'll see if once the gun's assembled I have hammer follow or anything like that, but it did feel like a noticeable nice click. Everything seemed to function properly aside from this back strap safety. So I don't have to completely take it out to get this to work right. Basically what I have to do is bend the third prong, which sits on the safety pretty much like this. There's a channel here. I apologize, I moved this thing a lot. I'm just trying to show you. Sits on here, gives it spring tension. I can see here this is barely touching, so what I'm going to do, I can leave this in there, the back strap. Got my pin here ready to go. I'm going to take these little needle nose, which are pretty handy for this gun. You can see that I use this a lot for this project. I'm going to reach in there and I'm going to grab that spring and I'm going to pull it back. Bend it while it's in there. That seems pretty good. So now you can see it's pronounced. Let me play a little song on my mainspring. Let me play a little song on my mainspring. Alright, enough nonsense. Let's see what this seems. Let's see how this feels. Put it back together real quick. So now, yeah, we got some backwards pressure here. This guy shot out. It's a little stiff. I'm a little worried about this plunger tube with this new stiff spring. Might be enough to do it in. Some people do a little resin job to give this tube some strength. I'll run it until it fails. You know, it's not really top of my concern right now. It works. It's in there pretty good, you know, but it's not really what I want. All right. Put this pin back in, because when you pull the hammer down, what ends up happening is the stupid mainspring housing pushes off and then everything gets jumbled up. There's a little detent in the back of this housing here, which is annoying because you think that this pin drops in, but it doesn't like to. There's a spring in there that falls in this channel, this little groove. So this is gonna. All right, that's in. That seems good. Now you can see that. The other thing I'm getting a learning curve with is that this new spring for the tube needs to be pushed in where to get the safety back in, where I could be lazy before and push it in. So that's going to be interesting when I go to put in the slide release. But it's in, safety. It's got a nice snap. Feels a lot better. Pronounce. This is worn. Maybe that needs a replacement. So we're going to check our lockup. First click, half cock. Second click. Can't go off without the safety now. You can see my fingers. You don't want to really let the hammer fall on the frame. Let me put the safety in, pull the trigger. Yeah, feels real nice. All right, so far we've got our ejector, we got the new extractor, we got the new tube spring, we got the new mainspring, And that's pretty much all of our parts aside from the front strap. So let me put it together. I guess we'll start by putting the slide together. That makes the most sense, doesn't it? Barrel. Barrel lock. One end of the spring doesn't have like the little flattened circle type deal going on. I would think it didn't matter. I would think that I put the ugly end in here, but from the other 1911s I've dealt with, it goes like this. So I'm going to go with that method. So put the spring through, put this in. Nice. Right. Take that. Take this, push it forward. It's on there. This is the part that I'm not excited for. Get the channel lined up. Not the big channel, the little one. Make sure that that little barrel thing is, the little loop on the barrel is lined up, which it's not. So I'm going to take my punch, line it up. We're going to drop this bad boy in there. So my old method where I could push up and in, since this is so stiff, it's a nice new improved spring. We got to give it a little help because we don't want to force anything. Like I've been saying, we don't want to force anything. So there we go. It's in there. Goes forward. Drop the hammer. Push that guy back. This is going to be stiff because it's a new spring. Right. Well, there we have it. Let's see if we got hammer follow. Nope. So hammer follow, you let the slide go. If the mainspring's not on there right, what's going to happen is it's going to end up in a half cock. For good measure, let's try it again. Very good. She's ready for the range. So I'm going to edit this video. I think because of the length, I'll do this video and the final shooting video separate, and then our next video will be some sort of survival video or knife making. I'm going to play around with this front strap, see how it might go on, and instead of showing you the whole process of me installing that, what I'll do is if I get it on there and it looks good, what I'm going to do is just show you and talk about the process and how it went. Because I won't be running these grips, I'll be running the stag grips. I got new ones coming in. The funny story is I ordered these stag grips from eBay. I go to put them on. Firstly, this is my fault, but they said commander grips, which I didn't see. so they were too short. They come to about here. I'll include the picture. Secondly, on the image, it was kind of put in there a little weird, the description. So they look like true, real stag grips. However, it was a piece of wood, so if you flip it over, you can see it's wood. And it was printed on there to look like a real stag bone antler grip. Kind of like Longmire's. If you've seen that show, it's pretty good. It's free on Pluto. But on for $27, I couldn't believe what I was getting. It was garbage. Very disappointed. It's going back. Thursday, I will have my new stag grips. I'm not going to make a whole video on that. I don't know if this piece will fit with those new grips. If it doesn't, it will go on a different gun. Not the end of the world. But long story short, you know, be careful reading your eBay listings. I got most of these Wilson Combat parts off eBay. Gun feels brand new. It was an ugly process putting it together. Again, I'm no expert. I'm just an average guy showing you how to do things. Watch other people's videos. See how it's done right. I don't think I did too bad, but you can kind of see what you can expect if you're kind of like me. You're a casual shooter. Casual. I'm not a gunsmith, but casually I could do a few things, you know. All this was from memory. So I'll include all my mistakes. I'll include things to watch out for. But I thank you guys for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with the part 3, part 4 / whatever. It'll be a quick video, just making sure this thing shoots. If it shoots, great. It doesn't shoot, I'll make adjustments or whatever. But after the shooting video, that's going to end the series on this Colt. I hope to see you again for my next video. If you have any suggestions of what you want to see going forward, I'll be doing some outdoorsy stuff, knife making. It's very cold right now. We're approaching December. I think we're in for a pretty good winter. And it was nice to get back on here and show you what's going on with this thing. But it's going to get too boring showing you the same thing over and over again. So I would like to keep this channel exciting. Background, you can listen to me talk. I'm not the greatest linguist on the face of the earth here. I'm not going by a script, just talking off the top of my head. So thanks again. I'll see you tomorrow at the range. So I got the front strap installed, the Wilson Combat front grip texture here. It actually fits on there very nice. The way I did it was I loosened up this grip panel, I slid 1/2 in, rolled it over, and then made sure it lined up with the other grip panel, tighten it down even on either side. Didn't need any kind of adhesive. I purchased this double-sided grip tape just in case, but didn't need it, which is better, I think, not needing it. It's a nice flush fit. A little bit of a learning curve if you're not used to doing that kind of stuff, but nice grip texture, fits right in the hand perfectly, gives you a nice lock up when you're aiming. You really get that. You feel like it's in your hand, if that makes sense. Obviously it's in your hand, but well, that's gonna do it. I'm excited to take this to the range tomorrow. That will complete the series. Speak of something different, I'll show you a quick little clip of this gun with the new stag grip in there. But you can see everything nice and solid. Doesn't go off. You know, I'm holding the hammer. So all of our little concerns worked in the end. We'll see if we can fix that extractor issue, if that is solved by the new Wilson Combat extractor, and go from there. But I'm excited. Thanks for tuning in and all your support. Have a good night.